Oh, what you need for your practice today is two blocks. If you have something to sit up on as well, whether that's like a cushion or a towel, or even better, like a blanket, just so that you have a little bit of extra lift for your seat. Our practice today is going to be very much focused on calming, but yet grounding and restoring. So we're going to start with some gentle forward folds. And then just to uplift you so that you're not feeling too chilled out afterwards. We'll finish that with a heart opener to just bring the energy back into the body. I'm feeling like things are in need of shifting and moving around, and a lot of my students and clients have been telling me recently that they're feeling very heavy. So I'm hoping that this practice will help to sort of liven you up a little bit. Of course, always listen to your body, modify as you need to. If you need to come out of a shape earlier than I'm instructing you to, then absolutely honor that. The holds that we're going to do today are not extremely long ones. We're going to be gauging for about 2 to 3 minutes. So I want you to think about moving into each level of your own edge, kind of at your own pace, knowing that we're not going to be doing really long holds. But in the same thing, I also want you to respect what your body is capable of doing. Okay. Okay, so for those of you that are just joining me, you'll need a couple of blocks and preferably something soft to sit up on, whether that's a cushion or a blanket or even a towel rolled up. If you want to play music for your class, absolutely go ahead. I'm going to actually be fairly silent throughout our practice, other than interweaving some stuff kind of in between. And of course, I'll cue you when to come out of the pose. So don't worry about that. Don't think I'm going to leave you hanging. No, I'll make sure that I cue you to come out. But I really want you to focus on your breath today. And as much as the mind may wander and drift and, thoughts will come up, just see if you can acknowledge the thought, whatever it is, even if it's something very simple, and then shift back into your breath. So, something pops in, you're like, oh, yeah, okay, thought, all right, back to inhaling and exhaling nice and deep. Okay, so we're going to begin by sitting on something comfortable. Now, if you find that sitting up on a blanket's not enough for you, feel free to sit up onto a block instead, if that gives you a little bit more lift for your spine. We're going to bring the hands onto the lap. You're going to turn your palms to face up so that you're already in an energy to receive. And you don't need to know whatever it is that you need to receive today, just being open to it. Sitting tall, relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears, drawing the chin so that it's in line with the chest. The eyes can close, or if that doesn't feel appropriate for you, just allowing the gaze to really soften. And we'll just take a couple of moments to land here into our practice. So starting to notice the inflow and the outflow of your breath. Try not to change your breath. Just let it be. Just for a moment, just let it be. Just notice where you feel your breath is moving and drawing itself to. Notice the mind's eye, what it is thinking of, whether you're already drifting out or really starting to tune in deeply to the breath. And then, of course, just acknowledging how your physical body feels today. What's your energy level like? Are there areas of your body that are feeling tight, tender, sore? What areas of your body feel spacious and feel maybe comfortable? And there may even be areas of your body that you're not even acknowledging, and that's okay. Start to invite the breath in a little deeper, finding a longer breath in, finding a deeper breath out. And gently encouraging this breath to get longer and deeper without forcing it, without pushing it. And this may not even be the deepest breaths that you take yet. That's okay. Just working towards finding something that feels sustainable, that feels comfortable, that feels familiar. Take 2 slow, deep breaths in and out through your nose. And now slowly begin to open the eyes. And just take the legs out in front for a moment. Lean back into your hands and just give your legs a little bit of a shake. Just get the energy kind of moving through the lower half of the body. It's primarily what we're going to target today is basically lower back down to the feet, but then we'll finish off with a nice upper body pose. So it'll kind of be a little bit of everything. All right, so still sitting up on your seat, you're going to come to a cross-legged position with the right leg inside and the left leg in front. Now, if you sit and you find that your knees are up higher than your hips, so it's kind of like you're on an angle, then I want you to sit up on the edge of a block instead. So then you see that your knees will actually fall down and your hips will be elevated. So for some people, this feels a little bit more accessible. For me today, I'm feeling a little tight. So I'm going to sit up on the edge of a block because it just gives my hips and my knees a little bit of extra cushioning. We're going to start to fold forward. I want you to think about folding very passively. So maybe you're going to grab another block and place that on the highest level to start with. You can place it just a few inches in front of your left leg. And then sitting up tall just to begin with, relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears. Just a little tuck of the navel towards the spine. And keeping your sit bones very grounded, you're simply going to start to fold forward. Maybe you're going to just land your hands on the blocks. Maybe some of you are going to bring your forearms down to the block. And then you're just going to see if you can let those shoulders drop down a little bit further away from your ears. Close your eyes. If you have a third block, you're more than welcome to place that in front of you or take your other block that you were sitting on and maybe pad yourself a little bit more underneath your seat. And if you need your head to be supported, then that's where you would layer up a couple of blocks to rest your forehead on. And then just imagine that my hands are on either side of your shoulders. So it's like I have wings. My hands are wings. Just think of that. And you're going to draw the breath in deeply through the back of your body, like you're trying to fill up my hands. Again, don't worry about how far you're folding. You want to keep your sit bones grounded. Keep the head relaxed. And begin to flow deeply into your breath. If you're very comfortable with your breath, feel free to pause in between. So in between your inhale and your exhale, maybe you just hold for a moment. Notice what it feels like to be completely full of breath, even if it's for a second. And then slowly lengthening out and emptying the breath. So we have about 10 cycles of breath left. This may be an invitation for you to go deeper. It may not. So if you're looking to go deeper, maybe you take that block and place it on the second level. And maybe it's just your hands that come down to it and you fold a little bit more deeply. Or maybe some of you will bring your forearms down and fold in. Again, you just want to come to that comfortable edge today, keeping your sit bones grounded. If it feels nice, you could sway a little bit from side to side. It doesn't have to be a completely still shape. Just focus on breathing in and breathing out. Okay, let's take one really deep breath in. Open mouth, exhale. Very slowly, keep your belly drawn to your spine. You're going to begin to lift yourself back up. Coming back up to a straight spine, sitting up tall, hands can rest in the lap. Let the shoulders soften down. Just take a nice, long, deep breath in and out through your nose. Let the eyes softly open. Bring the hands just back behind you for a moment so you can unwind the legs. Ground your feet onto the mat. And just slowly windshield wiper the legs a little bit from side to side. Not going super deep here. Just a little movement just to help release hips, the knees, lower back. And now let's come to the other side. So left leg comes in front, left leg comes inside, right leg in front. And then again, just making sure that you feel grounded through your seat. Adjust your shape in any way. No, the body is not symmetrical. So sometimes, one layer of support feels good on one side of the body, but then all of a sudden, if the focus is on the other side, things feel like they need to be either shifted or adjusted in some way. Try to keep that length through your spine and your sit bones grounded. Position that block Again, maybe highest level to start with. And start to hinge from the hips. Begin to fold forward. Either hands come onto the block, maybe forearms. Again, it's not about how far you're coming in the shape. It really is just about finding an appropriate edge. And when you're feeling particularly tight or tense, this is not the time to try to explore really deep edges in your poses. If anything, it's the complete opposite. You want to actually back out a little bit more so that you're giving your body the natural ability to release slowly without force. Once again, if it feels good, you could find a little sway. If your head is not supported by something and you start to feel tension in the neck, feel free to lift the head up and move that around a little bit. And just circle out the head. For some people, it feels good to let the head hang forward. Other people, not so much. So again, just honoring how your body feels. Letting your jaw soften. Creating space between upper and lower molars inside the mouth. Breathing back into the body. You're trying to expand those wings again. We're at that halfway mark. You may just stay exactly as you are. You also may decide that you want to shift that block to a lower level and maybe come down a little bit more. Again, perfectly okay to stay exactly as you are. It's also okay to back out a little bit. If you can, if you got to your maximum range and then you're thinking, well, I still have another minute or so here, and that doesn't feel so good, then you just lift up a little bit. And this practice is all about creating space with the least amount of effort. I can't emphasize that enough. It's interesting. I had a student last week who had said to me, I did a private class with her, and she said, "You're very flexible." And I said, "Yes." But I said, "It's interesting." I said, "I actually don't go as deep into my postures as my body will actually physically allow me to." And she's like, "Why?" And I said, "Well," I said, "for one thing," I said, "today I'm feeling a little depleted energetically, so I don't want to push my body." And I said, secondly, I said, you don't need to go deep in the pose in order to effectively target whether it's the physical body part or whether it's the energetic meridian line to a specific organ. Sometimes I like my practice to be focused more on the meditative side of the practice. So I focus more on my breath than I do about the sensation. So hopefully that maybe, I don't know, brings a little bit of extra clarity into your own practice. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Once again, just slowly start to lift up. Take your time to lengthen up your spine. You can set the block that was in front of you off to the side for a moment. I'm going to come up off of whatever you were sitting on momentarily. Take those hands back behind you once again, and we'll just take the legs a little bit more forward, but still wide, and you'll start to windshield wiper the legs. This time I want you to actually start to turn your chest as well as your legs. So don't worry if your knees are not coming down to the floor. That's okay. Just want you to get the movement in through the hip joint and through the side body. A couple more times each side. And then you'll come back to center. Decide if you want to sit up again on something, because we're going to be folding once again forward. So I'm going to be just sitting up on the edge of a cushion here. I want you to have your blocks close by. You're going to draw the left foot to the inside of your right leg. Now, if this left knee is sitting up super high, I want you to place a block or something underneath there, whether you could use a towel or a cushion or a blanket. And then your right leg, as it's extended straight, before you even begin to fold, I want you just to notice how the hamstring, so how the back of the leg feels. And if already, before you even begin to fold, you feel like this is very tight, you're going to bend your leg and place your foot on the floor. Okay. Now your foot could be a little bit more forward. You could draw the foot in a little bit closer. You could also take it out to the side a little bit. Again, it doesn't matter what the physical shape looks like. Okay. You could also, if you had an extra blanket or cushion, you could wedge that underneath the knee just to give that a little bit more padding and softening. And then the knee will be a little bit more bent that way. Okay. Now, if you do have your two blocks available, you could start to stack them in front of your left foot. And you can go kind of any level that you need here. It's going to depend on your own body, how far down you feel like folding. It's the same thing as we did with the last pose. You want to keep your sit bones grounded, and you're going to begin to fold forward, relaxing your arms with your hands facing up. So palms facing up, and you're going to draw your forehead down. Maybe it's going to land on something. If it can't, you could also stack fists on top of your blocks and bring your forehead down there. Okay. And then the right leg, if it is lengthened out straight, I want you just to see if you can let the foot completely relax. So if the foot wants to kind of fall open or inwards, it doesn't matter. Just see if you can really relax that leg completely. And once you've kind of found your first edge, close your eyes if they're open. And tune into your breath. Just inviting the warmth and the familiarity of the breath in and the breath out through your nose. So this practice today is very much about targeting many physical areas of our body, such as our hips, our back, our spine, legs, inner thighs, outer hips, but we're also targeting all of the energetic meridian lines as well. Okay, so this one in particular, I really enjoy doing when I feel like I need a lot of support from something higher above me. So allowing the upper body to round forward opens up those channels through your bladder meridian line, which is your foundation, kind of your support system. And of course, that travels all the way down through the back of the leg, all the way down to the foot. So we're about halfway through again. Just decide if you want to stay as you are. if you want to go a little deeper in folding, or if you're finding, you know what, I need to back out a little bit. Notice if there is any area of your body right now that is feeling like it has to hold itself up. Try to see if you can soften into that. And just allow your body to freely open without any resistance. Let's take a deep breath in. Open the mouth and take a long breath out. Maybe keeping the eyes closed. You're going to slowly start to lift yourself up, coming to that straight spine. Just taking the blocks out to the side for a moment. Keep your left leg as is. If your right leg was extended, you're going to bend that leg and then just give the leg a little bit of a massage here. So hands can be on either side of the leg. Just go up and down for a moment, just to wake up the inner and outer meridian channels, but also just to soften some of the fascia and connective tissue. You'd be surprised at how simple of a movement like this can actually help you release. Okay. Now, you're going to keep your left leg as it is. This time you're going to take your right leg out on an angle. Now, if you are sitting the opposite way on your mat, so right now I'm sitting, horizontally. If you're sitting vertically, feel free to turn yourself around so that your left or your right ankle is padded with something, or you could also just take a blanket or a cushion or something and wedge that underneath the ankle for a little bit more comfort. Now the left foot is going to come kind of closer in towards the groin area. You're going to find your blocks once again. We're going to be folding forward again. So keep in mind that we're now kind of shifting towards the inside of the leg in terms of the physical sensation, but also the energetic sensation. So we're working more towards liver, spleen, and kidney. And so some of these layers can be really tight. So feel free to adjust how far out your leg goes. I mean, it could come in a lot closer if you like, or it can come out a lot further out, okay? And then you can start to build yourself, I call this like a tower, whatever level you need. If sitting upright is already a lot for you and you haven't even folded, that's perfectly okay too. All right. When you feel ready, just close your eyes, relax your shoulders again. And you're going to, if you decide that you're folding, you're going to slowly begin to draw your body forward and down, keeping sit bones grounded. So you're not lifting up off of your seat at all. Let the shoulders melt away from the ears. If your head is not supported by blocks, again, feel free to just kind of move that neck around a little bit. Relax all your fingers and all your toes. Again, there's no resistance here, just softening. Use the breath. It literally is your most appropriate and best prop. Without the breath, your body will simply stay stagnant. The energy will not flow. The fascia and the tissue won't soften. The muscles will stay tense. Breathe into the back of your body, even if you're sitting more upright. Expand out and expand up, expand down. Keeping the jaw soft. We have just another 5, maybe 6 breaths left here. And take one more deep breath in through the nose. Let's clear it out through the mouth. And slowly, if you had folded, begin to find yourself lifting back up, lengthening out. Just take the blocks to the side for a moment. Carefully, you're going to bend that right leg, bring it back in front of you. Lift the left leg up. Now you could just lengthen the legs out for a moment and pause. If you need movement, of course, feel free to just kind of windshield wiper the legs again. Just a nice little release. I like to give the legs a little bit of a shake and just get things moving around again. And then just give them a little bit of a massage. Okay, I'm going to head to the other side. So right leg, bring that foot to the inside. And if you need to readjust the position of your body, like if you had changed your position, now you want to make sure that your left ankle is padded. So we'll have the legs straight out. Of course, there's that option. If the leg straight is just way too intense, you bend that knee as much as you need to, or cushion underneath it for a little bit of extra support. If you need something tucked underneath that right knee, please feel free to just, prop yourself in any way, and then start to maybe build yourself something in front of you. And you decide, just sit up tall once you have your legs into shape. Just notice how that feels. Maybe this is where you stay. Maybe you begin to round and fold forward from the hips. And you just sort of land at that first place where you're like, yep, this is good. And then the eyes can reclose if they opened. Start to tune into the breath. Breathing in and out. Just think of expansion and contraction. Softening and letting go. Breathing in the energy that you need. Breathing out what you want to let go of. Noticing if there's any kind of gripping, any kind of holding. And it's not always necessarily in the areas of the body that are being stimulated. Sometimes it's even just fingers. Sometimes it's the inside of the mouth. Sometimes it's the space between the eyebrows. Whatever support you feel you need in this moment, just know that this practice is offering that to you. We're about halfway through, so we have about a minute left. Let's notice, do you want to shift? Do you want to stay? Do you want to back out a little? We'll take our last 5 or so deep breaths here. All right, together, let's take one deep breath in and send one long breath out. And slowly, if you fold it, just take your time, start to lengthen up. Take the blocks to the side for a moment. Use the hand to bend that left leg for a moment. And kind of keep the right leg as it is, and then just massage on either side of the leg. Just let things kind of flow and move a little bit. And then let's take that leg out on an angle. So we're coming into that half dragonfly position. So we're going to shift a little bit to working those inside meridian lines, and of course, inner groin area. Fascia tends to be, it's interesting, fascia tends to be very tight for a lot of people on the inside of the legs, but also very weak. So weak and tight is like a really not great combination. I mean, tight and strong is not great either, but the opposite is actually worse. Make sure that your left ankle feels padded. So feel free to adjust your shape in any way. Grab those blocks again. It's all about building a layer of support. When you literally build a support system for your body, energetically, especially when you're folding forward and you're accessing those channels, those meridian channels of support, when your body knows that it is supported physically, it will actually release energetically, but it'll also feel more supported energetically. which in turn will also allow you to release more physical tension. So, I mean, it's all connected here. Some people come to this practice simply and only for the physical stretch, and that is beautiful. That is okay. You don't need to understand any of the more energetic layers to the practice to receive them anyway. Some people come to this practice purely for the energetic. So for that stimulation and balance of meridian channels in the body. And they are also receiving the physical benefits. Some people come to this practice purely for the meditative aspect of it. Just the quieting of the mind, the engagement of the breath, and that ability just to be still and present, which is not something that we get a lot of opportunity to do. So know that whatever reason you are on your mat for this practice, you're getting all of the benefits, even if you don't understand them. We're at that halfway mark. This is going to be our last forward fold, and then we're going to be taking it onto the back to just, again, balance things out a little bit. A few more really long, deep breaths. Last 2 deep breaths in and out through your nose. Slowly begin to find length, lifting yourself back up. Take your props to the side, leave them close by you. Use your hand to release that left leg, and then the same right leg as well. You take those legs out in front, and again, just give everything a little bit of a massage. Maybe a little bit of a shake as well. And then if you're sitting up on something, come up off of your seat. We're going to come into a spinal twist on our back. So if you like to have padding underneath the back of your head, feel free to put something down. You're going to grab your blocks so that they're close by you. You're going to make your way down onto your back with your knees bent, feet grounded. And then before we actually take this shape, I want you to think about drawing the chin down a little bit towards the chest so that the neck feels like it's a little bit more spacious. Walk your shoulder blades apart so you feel like your upper back is a little bit more in contact with your mat. And then bring the feet side by side and the knees side by side. And take your arms, they can either go straight out from your shoulders. You could keep them down by your side, especially if you're feeling very tight in the upper body. You could also goalpost out your arms as well. And then you're going to shift your hips just a little bit to the left. And you're going to let your knees fall to the right. You know, you can layer on blocks here. So block can go between the knees. You could also take a block underneath the bottom knee. Know that your blocks can go at any height that you need to support yourself. You could also bind as well. If you're feeling a little bit more open, you could cross the left leg over top of the right. and then find your twist. And then I always like to kind of just reposition my arms again once I actually come into the shape. And then decide whether you would like to keep your head straight or if you'd like to let one ear roll to one shoulder. And that just sort of completes the spinal twist so that it's accessing the entire length of the spine. And then if the eyes had opened, they close once you kind of settle in. And it's about drawing that deep breath, filling up the belly, filling up the ribs, filling up the chest. See if you can work towards the same breath in to the same breath out count. No force, no pushing. Just complete surrendering, but inhaling and exhaling deeply. Feeling all of the muscles along the spine relax and soften. I have about another 30 seconds left on this side. On your next breath in, you're going to slowly start to make your way back onto your back. Just shifting your hips back so that everything is back into alignment. Taking the arms down by your sides for a moment. Just allowing yourself to be back in full alignment here through the spine. Pausing, taking a couple of deep breaths. Okay, let's begin to make our way to the other side. So if those feet and knees were separated, just bring them so they're back side by side. You'll draw those shoulder blades apart. Shift the hips slightly to the right. Knees are going to fall to the left. Again, any variation of twist here, knees stacked on top of one another with maybe a block between them. Maybe you're binding, top leg crosses over bottom. And then you're going to reposition your arms, whether they're straight out from the shoulders or maybe goal post or maybe even just resting down by your hips. If your head would like to turn to one direction, then let it go. Shift into this nice, long, expansive breath that's flowing freely in and out of your nose. Breathe as deeply as it feels comfortable in your body. When you take your next breath in, slowly unwind, come back onto the back. Draw those arms back down by your sides. Realign your spine. And then pause and take a nice long breath in and out through your nose. And then you're slowly just going to roll yourself over onto one side. Start to lift yourself up. We're going to make our way into our final posture, which is going to be supported fish. So a nice heart opening position, but also just energetically to just bring a little more energy into our body. So take your block that is going to support your head on the highest level towards the back of your mat. And then we're going to go horizontal with that second block that is going to support your thoracic area and your chest. Now, if you're very tight, go the lowest level. If you're feeling a little bit more open today, you could try the second level. If you find that this ends up being a little too high, you can always just flip it back down to the lowest level. And then you're going to take your back to face those blocks. Knees are bent, feet are grounded, and you're going to start to lower yourself down onto them. Make sure that your head is supported, that your neck is free of the block. So of course your neck is not in any way in contact with that block. That second block is literally between the shoulder blades. Your bum should be grounded. So if you're lifting up off your seat, your block is probably too low onto the low back. So you want to bring it up a little bit higher. Shoulders are supported. And then you're going to take your arms out away from your body as far up towards the shoulder line as feels comfortable in your chest. And for more support, keep your knees bent. You could also take butterfly, bring the soles of your feet together, let your knees open if you want a little bit of a hip opener, or those legs can just go super long and wide to the edges of your mat as well. Your palms should be in a position where they're facing up so that your shoulders are properly rotated. And your chin should be starting to lower itself towards the chest line, having that block at the highest level back there. This should feel very supportive and very comfortable. If it doesn't, you likely just need to readjust the positions of the blocks, making sure that they're just in that right spot. Start to tune into these nice, long, supporting deep breaths. Let the back of your heart center melt. Let it feel that support of that block underneath you. This is one of these postures where anytime you're feeling tired, exhausted, if your chest is sore or feeling tight, or if you're finding yourself breathing very shallow, even 5 minutes in this pose, if that's all that you did, so beneficial for your body, so beneficial. There is so much power in one pose. If you can, just for the last few moments here, start to take a longer and deeper breath out. So the choice is going to be yours now. If you would like to stay in this shape, you're more than welcome to stay in supported fish. If you'd like, you can slowly start to turn to one side and make your way off of your blocks. And you can choose either to come into Shavasana on your back, or you can come and sit in a meditation position. So whether you're sitting cross-legged, maybe on a block, or sitting up Seiza style, sitting on the knees with a block between your heels. Just choosing whatever shape resonates most with you in this moment. If you're in Shavasana or seated meditation, feel free to cover yourself up maybe with a blanket. Maybe even cover your eyes. If you have a small towel or eye pillow. If you're staying in supported fish, then just focus on keeping the breath deep in and out through your body. If you're in a meditation position, just letting the hands rest on your lap. You can turn your palms either down if you want to keep the energy that you have within you as is. If you feel like you need still a little more support or a little more energy, turn your palms to face up. Just let the mind come to a still point where you're just focusing on the breath. I'm going to end the practice here. Please feel free to take more time. Those of you that are in supported fish, please be mindful that when you come out, take at least 5 to 6 breaths on your back first before you lift yourself up. Those of you in Shavasana, of course, you're more than welcome to stay as you are. If you're meditating and you need a little more time, take it. May the rest of your day be filled with some peace and tranquility and balance. Thank you so much for taking time to practice today. Namaste.